Well, I'm very pleased to be here. Like you said, my name is Jennifer Hoekstra, and I am currently involved with the Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. That's who supports my program. So we are part of Safe Kids Greater Grand Rapids, which is a global organization, but started very grassroots. And the purpose of our organization is to work towards eliminating unintentional injury for children. So my role is to educate people in our community about ways that we can keep children from getting hurt unintentionally. The reason my job is so important is because unintentional injury is the leading killer of children across the nation. It is very, very disheartening to hear things like a child was drowned, or a child was involved in a car accident and was injured, or a child swallowed a button battery and was not able to survive, or a child was had to have an amputee or an amputation because they were riding on the lawnmower with their grandpa. Things like that. Those are all preventable injuries. So my role as the coordinator of the program is to facilitate different opportunities to share with families and caregivers and people who just know and love kids about ways that we can keep kids from getting hurt. We have many, many focuses, but any of you have been around this building, you've probably seen me wheeling carts full of car seats and carrying big boxes of bicycle helmets. That is two of our biggest pieces of our program. We help equip families with car seats if they don't have the appropriate car seat for their child. We work to serve the most in-need families in our community. So we are part of the Children's Hospital, but we are very much focused on the community at large. Pretty much Kent County, and we've just put our fingers into Ottawa County. So we're looking to expand our program and be able to get a broader reach for the members of our community. One of the most important things that I do is facilitate relationships with people, because we really want the word to spread that there is something you can do to prevent an injury to a child. When we talk about injury prevention, it's about the education that goes along with it. So if you would have somebody that you know that needs a car seat and you say, hey, go find that lady that's in my office, they're going to come to me and I'm not going to hand them a car seat, because my job is to give them the education to use it. So I'm going to spend at least a half an hour with them. I'm going to walk through the parts and the pieces of the car seat. I'm going to walk through the parts and the pieces of their car. I'm going to help them understand how their child, their car seat, and their car all work together to prevent that injury. And then I'm going to make sure that they are confident in their ability to put a car seat in themselves. So my job is really about the education and the information that families can get to get the right information to protect their children. I brought along something that doesn't usually correlate with injury prevention, but I brought along a hot dog today. One of our hottest topics right now is the danger of the coin-size button battery. So this is probably one of the most dangerous items that's in your home today. This is found in your bathroom scale, your flameless candles, the recordable storybooks that you might record a message for your grandchild or your niece or your nephew, in the singing greeting cards, in your pedometer, in your key fob, the remote clicker that opens and closes and locks your car door. This type of battery is in there. It's 3 volts. I'm going to demonstrate to you just how powerful that battery is. I'm going to put it inside our hot dog here for the next 7 or 8 minutes or so while I talk to you. And at the end, I'd like to show you what happens. This battery, if it is found by a child and swallowed, they don't start choking. They don't stop breathing. There's nothing that indicates that they've swallowed this battery until a few hours later. And a few hours later is often too late. It only takes 2 hours for that battery to burn a hole through a child's esophagus. So when that battery is swallowed, it fits perfectly right down their esophagus and it lodges right here. So that within 2 hours, it has burned a hole through their esophagus. At that point, they may start exhibiting some flu-like symptoms. And as I was talking with the gentleman at my table, if your children are sick, you're not quick to run to the doctor most days. You know, here's some ibuprofen, let me put a cool cloth on your head, let's hope you feel better tomorrow. But that time that elapses is very, very dangerous for children. So what we encourage everyone to do is to identify in your home any of those items that might contain that battery. Find those things And then find a place up high, out of reach of children. Some of you may not have young children in your home on a regular basis. Some of you may not, except for twice a year when they come for Thanksgiving and Christmas. But those are the times when curious little fingers are finding everything they possibly can to put in their mouths. I would encourage you to find a place. The biggest culprit today of those button batteries is our new remote controls for MP3 players, for all of our iHome remote. Those types of new technology, new electronics are containing those batteries. And these children need to make sure that they are not within reach. If you keep those items out of reach and you ultimately find one on the floor and then you look for the battery, you have to assume the worst. You have to assume the child swallowed it. And then it is an immediate trip to the emergency room. I remember early on in my motherhood days, I have 4 children, 11, 10, 7, and 3. Early on, one of my children swallowed something. And I, in frantic mode, called my mother and I said, Mom, what do I do? And she said, just check their poop. And I said, what? She said, it will pass, honey, it will pass. This is not the case when it comes to this button battery. It will not pass. The only way for it to be removed is surgically. So it is very important that we spread the word that this is a very dangerous item in our homes. And identifying those is very, very important. Along with car seats and bike helmets and button batteries, our program really focuses on getting education into the hands of the community. So we do a lot of pamphlets and informational pieces. We make them look very pretty and attractive, but they have lots of words on them. And you know, I would like to tell myself that I hand out probably about 60,000 of these a year. I have to realize probably 10 get read. You know, so it's all about the personal interaction that we have with people. If you know of a family that has children that are in need of some education on ways to prevent them from falling down the stairs, or, you know, my neighbor boy seems to always be getting in trouble, let's think about what it is that he may be doing. Maybe he plays behind mom's car and you're concerned about a vehicle backover. 1 child every hour in the United States is backed over in their own driveway. It is a very real concern. Parents are less likely to allow their children to go over to the neighborhood park than they were even 10 years ago. So now we're playing in our own driveways. We have many people in our homes that have multiple vehicles, the teenage brother, the mom, the dad, maybe the neighbor, nanny, maybe somebody else visits, and there's cars moving in and out of the driveway. We have to educate families on where to have children play and where to have children move if a vehicle is leaving. We talk a lot about being safe in and around the water. We had an unfortunate situation where we had a 2-year-old child drown in a 5-gallon bucket of muddy water. It contained 1.5 inches of water and 2 frogs. And he tipped into the bucket, and all it takes is for that nose and mouth to be covered, and he drowned. His 8-year-old sister found him in that 5-gallon bucket. So we want to educate families on the importance of making sure there's no standing water, even if it's just a frog bucket, or if it's an inflatable pool, or if it's the car wash bucket when you're finished washing your car. It's important to eliminate that standing water because all of that can be very dangerous for children. We talk right now at this season of the year a lot about our holiday gatherings and what we can do to prevent injuries in the holiday gatherings. One of the biggest pieces that we educate families on is the importance of cleaning up after a party as soon as it's finished. Many of us enjoy wonderful time with our family, with our friends. We may be very tired from a long night of conversation and decide to save the cleanup for the morning. But what we see is a rise on the number of children that enter the children's hospital with poisonings from food that stayed out overnight, or picking up a cup that they thought was coffee and it wasn't, or picking up a can of soda that they thought, but instead it was somebody's place to spit their tobacco. Things that our kids are getting into that aren't intended for them. It's never, I shouldn't say never, it's very rarely an intentional injury, but it's something that's very preventable. Additionally, around the holiday time, we encourage our families to think about opening of gifts and to really focus on what it is as a family, to celebrate together, to really focus on watching what people are opening, but to keep everything in their main packaging until everyone's done, and then separate by age group when you're opening, because those teenagers are getting toys that 2-year-olds really shouldn't be into. And our 5-year-olds are getting toys that our 1-year-olds shouldn't be getting into. And when the packaging is being thrown, it's very difficult for moms of 4 children or grandparents with 8 children in the room to pay attention to all of them and make sure no one's getting into an item that's going to potentially cause an injury. Magnets, batteries, electronics, things that are high energy, exciting during the holidays can also lead to a number of injuries. Following all of our holiday talk, we do broach the winter safety subject very, very highly. We see a huge increase in the number of slips and falls. We see a huge increase in the number of head injuries in the winter. So we talk a lot about equipping our kids with helmets when they go sledding, when they go skiing, when they go snowboarding, when they go ice skating. It's definitely not anywhere near our bike helmets. People are like, really? I'm not going to wear a helmet when I go sledding. But I look at the data from last winter, and we had more kids come into the hospital from a head injury sledding than we did a bicycle injury the whole summer before. Kids are hitting each other on the hills. They're hitting ice patches. So we're really encouraging families to think about equipping their child with a helmet when they go out onto the slopes, because it's the #1 prevention strategy to eliminate some of those injuries. All of the different topics that we talk about, we can find data that supports the fact that this is a conversation that needs to happen. But when I talk to groups like yours, I say, I don't expect you guys to be experts about all of this injury prevention. That's my job. My job is to be that injury prevention expert. I have one other staff member. We work full-time, the 2 of us, and we try to reach as many people as we possibly can. For this coming 2014 season, we have 90 car seat events where parents can come and get their car seats checked. We have 15 bike helmet events. We have over 50 presentations planned through different schools, different moms groups, different church groups, where we are hoping to get the message out about injury prevention. It's a topic that I didn't even know existed when I first started in my world as a teacher. I started out as a teacher, and then I became a missionary, and then I was a mom, staying home, and I thought, there's got to be something that I can do. I found out about this car seat class that I could take for 4 days, and I thought, 4 days? I think I'm pretty sure I know how to put a car seat in, but 4 days? 4 days away from my kids? I can do that. So I went to this class for 4 days, and the minute I started that class, I knew I would teach it someday. It was this easy thing for me to become passionate about. And to this day, I am still teaching that class, certifying new people to check car seats. And it's a world that I think I can convert people pretty easily to become passionate about injury prevention. It's many people go to school to be a doctor or a nurse. The new big wave is to be a child life specialist, somebody who works in the hospital to keep children distracted during procedures or to keep them entertained while they're in the hospital. But really, the injury prevention world offers so many opportunities to reach families, to reach groups of caregivers, where we can make a physical change. We can make a difference in the way that our children are being kept safe, because we have so many real life, common sense things that can be done to prevent injury. It is an opportunity that I take not lightly at all. I think that I have a huge responsibility to share information with people. I enjoy sharing the information about injury prevention. I think that there's so much that every person can do. My favorite story has to be about our lawnmower safety. I am a little bit obsessive about this. I carry a stack of these flyers in my vehicle with me all spring and summer. And anytime I see a dad, it's usually a dad or a grandpa, with a child on the lawnmower with them, I stop my car, I wave, and they, do I know you? I turn off the lawnmower, which is exactly what my goal was, to get them to turn that lawnmower off. And I come up and I say, hi, and he says, I'm sorry, I think you might have the wrong house. And I said, oh, I didn't see your neighbor on the lawnmower with a child. I stopped here because I saw you on the lawnmower with a child. Oh, yeah. And I say, it really is not a privilege to allow your child to be on that lawnmower with you. Every year at our children's hospital, it hopefully only affects 7 or less children every year. But those 7 or less children are the most costly, the most traumatic, and the largest number of surgeries entirely in the Children's Hospital every year because it is so traumatic. When that child slips off the lawnmower, they lose a leg, a foot, or worse, they're killed. So I make sure that I talk with every family in my immediate neighborhood, but anybody who happens to be on that lawnmower. This is where I really have a passion. I actually go to church with a young lady who has lost both of her legs from a lawnmower accident. Her grandfather was mowing the lawn and she was behind him. He mowed in reverse and did not know she was there. And the story that family had to endure was enough to just pretty much rip my heart out. And I think if I can eliminate that for one other family, I've done what I've been called to do. And I would encourage you to think about ways that you can make a difference in the world of injury prevention. Even if it's as simple as saying when someone asks you about an injury or about a car seat or about a bike helmet, hey, you know what, there was this lady, she was from Safe Kids. Why don't you call her? Because she can answer all your questions. I brought a large stack of flyers of each of these different safety topics. We have winter and water and bicycle safety and carbon monoxide and holiday and falls and lawn mowing and car seats. I brought a large stack with me. Please feel free to take one or many if you have families that you know that you would like to distribute these with. If for nothing else, my phone number is on the back of all of them. So you feel free to take that and share that information. In closing, before we finish today, I just want to mention to you about a little bit of history in where this button battery piece came from. I do a lot of media in the community. I am on the news quite a bit about injuries. Unfortunately, it's often reactionary news. When a child has been injured, they call me and they say, hey, can you come and tell me about how to do it right? Very recently, I did a television tip over. There are 13,000 children a year that are injured by a television tipping off of its stand. And we just had a little 21-month-old that was killed by a television tipping off. Her 4-year-old brother knocked the television off. 55-pound television landed on her head. And so I try to stay up to date on all of the injury prevention topics that are out there. Well, 3 years ago, I was heading to a conference in North Carolina, and I got a call from the president of the conference. And he said, hey, Jennifer, I'm looking for somebody who will stand up in front of all these 500 guests at the conference and do a mock interview with the people from the Today Show. Would you be willing to do that? I was like, absolutely, bring it on. Like, I love to be in front of people. So I said, you know, can you give me a little background? Like, what topic are they going to ask me about? Kind of hoping they talk about car seats because I can talk about that till I'm blue in the face. He said, oh, we're going to talk about batteries. Okay, sounds good. Mind you, I'm in the profession of injury prevention. I have 4 children of my own. So I get out my computer, I do a little bit of research, and I am blown away by what I found. I live in the world of injury prevention. I am the mother of 4 children, and I had no idea that that coin-sized battery was dangerous. I felt about this big. But in my research and my study of this, I realized how much it's going to be jumping in prevalency. In the past 5 years, the number of button battery ingestions has quadrupled because the things in our world are getting sleeker, slimmer. They need to be pocket worthy, and you can't put a big AAA battery, big AA battery, big 9-volt battery in something that fits in your pocket. So more and more things are containing this button battery. Right now, my hot dog is boiling. This button battery has caused my hot dog to start cooking. So when you look and see what's happening to a hot dog, this is exactly what would happen in the child's esophagus. It is something that is very, very dangerous and very unknown. I encourage you, if you're on Facebook, if you're on the internet at all, there is a fantastic video right on our website and at thebatterycontrolled.com. You can share that information with everybody. It's 3 minutes, and it's the most powerful 3 minutes you'll ever witness. Thank you very much for your attention. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I'll stick around here for a little bit afterwards if anybody has any questions. Thank you.